Welcome, everybody, to another episode of our Are You Afraid of the Dark podcast. I'm Adam, and I'm with my brother, Ben.
How's it going, everybody? All right, so episode 3 of season 1, The Tale of the Lonely Ghost, starts with Kristen getting spooked by David, who meets her before the meeting, gives her an early birthday present, and says that they'll talk after the meeting. Eric is flipping popcorn in his mouth. Then a fight breaks out before Frank pours water down his throat. David gets hardcore and says two kids can't get along because they're so different from each other. That's the whole point of, that's the whole premise of the show.
Yeah, the whole Minute Society, they say like they're all
from different schools.
Yeah,
and
different different friends.
And, yeah, don't know anybody. So David's story is about a love so strong it can survive anything, even death.
Yeah, so it's been the story's about a love so strong it can survive anything, even death.
And then you throw coffee creamer on the fire to make it ignite.
There's a book out there called Slimed, an Oral History of Nickelodeon, where they interview like everybody who was on these 80s and 90s TV shows on Nickelodeon, and they say what the substance was in that bag that they always throw stuff on. Non-dairy creamer. Oatmeal. That was the slime. So here we are, summer vacation. Every kid is excited except for our main character, Amanda. Her parents are scientists, and Amanda must stay with Aunt Dottie. Outside their Canadian suburb, Aunt Dottie calls for her daughter, Beth, but Beth wants nothing to do with Amanda. Amanda looks up to see her cousin, and then Amanda hears banging coming from next door. Aunt Dottie explains that no one has been at that house for years. She says she's a real estate agent and can't even get people to look at the place. Then she has a very, very dramatic shock value, and we see that the sign fell down.
I can't even get people to look at the place. I wish it would just... Sometimes I think this house just doesn't want to be sold.
Okay. First things first. What parent just pawns their kid off for the entire summer?
They want a break?
Well, if you want the break, don't have the kid.
This girl's probably about 11, 12 years old.
It doesn't matter.
And they have some high careers because they're up there in the north, they say, studying some rocks.
They're in Canada. They're already in the north.
I mean, like northern Yukon. They're going up to one of those towns. You got to get to an airplane.
You get a parka on.
All right, well, Ben, I have a real estate license. And there's multiple problems I saw with this episode. Of course, I'm in the United States. This is Canada in the early 90s, so things may be a little different. But this for sale sign should have had like a phone number or a broker on it.
Yeah.
Like, how are they supposed to contact anybody?
Not just for sale on it and no number, yeah.
Well, Aunt Dottie goes to fix it, and of course, it falls down again.
It falls down before she even walks away from it.
Yeah, well, she wasn't in shock that time.
No.
I mean, she's apparently not that worried about selling the house. Or that way, the sign would have been like more secure.
But don't put it in the same spot when you've already messed up the earth.
Well, Aunt Dottie takes Amanda inside where she meets her bitchy cousin, who apparently has the room of a 5-year-old girl.
Yeah, how old are they supposed to be?
They're like 12 to 14, I would put them at. Well, Beth lays down the law, saying she's not going to be her BFF. Now, this actress is good because I hate this bitch already.
Oh yeah, it was meant to be that way.
She's the female version of Josh from the last episode. They both have red hair. They're both very arrogant. They both lay down the law. And she says that Amanda can't be a Zeeb. So the Zebra the Clown reference. I really thought there was something Canadian until I looked it up, and it is from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
When I tried looking it up, it was saying something about like some type of war in the Middle East, like way back, like Crusade times. That's what I got when I looked up Zeeb.
It can mean anything in this universe. But I was also thinking, is this the first version of Mean Girls? Because Beth seems like she can't hang with her friends and things.
Probably.
In the night, Amanda meets Nanny, and Beth freaks the fuck out. there's a lot of hate going on here.
Okay.
Maybe that's why Nanny looks so depressed.
Why did Nanny look like she just survived a tornado the first time, and then every other time she's like more put together?
This actress is very good, by the way. I will give this episode credit. I thought the acting was very good, especially the two girls, Amanda and Beth. The woman playing Nanny appears in a few other episodes, by the way.
Well, I mean,
and the girl playing the ghost later on is in a future episode, the dark music one. Well, Amanda comes in from the room and Beth lays down the law again, saying she hates Nanny because she's old and weird. Amanda expresses sympathy, and Beth says she knows something's funny with her in the house next door because she heard her parents talking. So we know right then that there's some type of plot device between Nanny, the old house, and the parents keeping secrets.
Beth announces that her friend is having a pool party on Saturday and asks if Amanda wants to come. Amanda, of course, says yes because she's trying to fit in, but she has to go through the initiation of being able to hang out with her cousin and her friends, which is she has to spend the night in the house next door.
The next day, Amanda runs into Nanny and sees the locket, which is going to be a plot point.
Nanny offered to wash Beth's laundry knowing that her period panties were in there, and Amanda shouldn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, this girl's be a boss around already. And I mean, the mother has to know this is happening.
Well, she has to, but she's able to bury herself in her work and...
Yeah, she got shit to sell. She has 2 empty houses that are closing. Right. It's a busy day on Saturday.
Yeah. Nanny, she moved up pretty quick to grab it. She kind of understood what was going on with the dynamic there. I think she kind of realized that she had raised a little bitch.
Oh, yeah. She's hating that girl right now. And I don't see, like, the mother discipline her much other than making her clean with Amanda.
Right. And I don't really understand the whole, like, early on when they first got there, like, right after they came in, the mom, like, points to the bed and she's like, this is where Nanny slept when Beth was little, you know, like... I feel like, I don't know, they kind of hired this woman to raise their kids so they didn't have to deal with it.
And they're busy professionals.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Beth's going inline skating, which is very, very 90s. She's having a discussion with her mom that she wants Nanny to leave, and her mom says that she has nowhere to go. Of course, Nanny and Amanda overhear this conversation, and of course, Beth is expressing her materialistic nature by telling Amanda not to touch her stuff, although Amanda's doing her laundry.
Right. Well, I mean, I gotta say, if you're gonna talk about someone, you know, like they're doing, Jesus, take it outside, or you know that's a very acoustical house that they're in. There's not a lot of walls. It's just one big downstairs that wraps all the way around. So of course she heard them.
Well, I'm having a feeling this conversation happened multiple times. It's assumed that Nanny was living with them at least since Beth was a baby. So that's at least 12 years. However, I'll get to this later because I don't want to get too much away for it. Everybody else has to see this episode, just watch it along with us. We then cut to outside of the haunted house at night with Beth, Amanda, and her friends.
I like to call them the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
That's a good one. Beth then goes into the backstory of the house. I'll insert a show clip here. The little girl is supposed to go to her grandmother's house, but the mean girl scared her, followed her into the house, into the bedroom. Locked her in the bedroom where she didn't escape alive, and no one knew she was there. The mom didn't come back for weeks, and apparently there was some bad communication in the family because her grandmother didn't know she was coming. Now, Ben, I have one question for this part of the story here. How in the hell did this story get passed down? The only people who would have known the truth behind that was the little girl who died inside and the tormentors. So did the tormentors leak some information out, like Deep Throat or something like that?
I don't get the whole thing with that story was so like, okay, could have said she starved to death, or she jumped out the window. Or... I
think a better one would have been if they used the Home Alone device where like the mother had to go visit the dad who was injured in the hospital, and somehow they thought she was like in the car or coming with her, and she was, instead of left home alone, they actually locked the door from the outside or something.
if he was gone in the war, like they said
he was injured in the war.
Okay, you'd still be not able to like go like. All right, so what war would you say that would be?
They're definitely in like late 40s, early 50s attire. So we're talking about
World War II.
Was over 1945.
Okay,
the Korean War was in the 50s, so maybe we're talking about Korean War. It wasn't Vietnam.
well, yeah.
I have feelings it has to be Korean War. Just doing some dating on the people.
Right. So I don't think you would be like, I don't know. You wouldn't be able to go and see and take care of them when they're already over there getting taken care of. But anyway,
maybe they were back in America, like a VA hospital back then.
I mean, maybe, but
well, Beth apparently knows where the bedroom is because she gives her the keys and tells her to go up there. Now, most real estate agents don't have the keys to just any house laying at their house. Maybe she does because it's next door. Nowadays, real estate agents have a drop box outside with a code on it, or it's electronic. Yeah, but I really want to know how they knew where the bedroom was because they say she bought it when Amanda leaves there, meaning none of them actually spent the night in the house. And plus, the house is completely empty. It got gutted. So how do they know specifically that was her room? As soon as she goes in the house, she starts hearing noises. She thinks it's her friends trying to scare her already.
They're not her friends yet.
Best friends. Then, going into the bedroom, she starts hearing some walking. She starts hearing some music that sounds like it's coming from a toy box. And then sees a backwards "help me" on the wall. She looks in the mirror and sees it for what it is. And then bam, ghost time. Now, what the hell, man? This is fucking scary here. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of creepy.
Okay. I will... The whole cryptic writing on walls, that... I mean, I think that was the creepiest part of this whole thing is like...
It is a reference to The Shining.
Yeah, it's unnerving. In a lot of... Really, any type of cinema, it's... You know, when just... lettering scrawled all over the walls, like it puts you in an uneasy place.
Oh yeah. Well, my thing is the little girl like a ghost in the room and then back in the closet to write it, or is she able to like write from across the way? Because the ghost is inside the closet in another dimension. But maybe the room's another dimension itself.
I don't really get where the mirror, like why the mirror has to come into play at all.
It's because it's well, later on we see that it goes to her room.
Right, but it I don't know. It could have been done differently, is all I'm saying.
Well, that mirror's nice and shiny, by the way. No dust in that thing at all after years of being abandoned.
Well, I mean, the realtor's been in there, I'm sure, once or twice.
I don't know. Some of the houses I've walked into, you think they were cleaned it for the last 30 years.
Well, yeah, that one house we went to, you were just looking at the property. That's all it was.
Yeah, we do a place that's has crack addicts living in it beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have squatters.
Yeah, there was no squatters at this haunted house. No one had a secret meth lab. Dr. Vink relocated that one. Well, after Amanda screams...
That's how it burned down.
Oh, yeah. There's this rubble. Well, when Amanda screams, it's a great time for a commercial break. The version I saw online just fades to black and comes back in. I've heard some people like sharing their kids some shares from the 90s, and their kids are like, what the hell is this thing just fading out of nowhere? Like, oh, yeah, these kids nowadays don't know what commercial break is.
Or what tracking is.
Yeah. Yes, especially some of the episodes. I have another podcast with my girlfriend. We're showing each other shows we'd never seen before, and I have to show her like some obscure 80s and 90s shows that were never released on DVD, and we're watching like online clips uploaded from VHS tapes from 25 years ago. I mean, like the pitch is terrible. The tracking is just going everywhere. It's hard to see things. She's like, what is this? It's like realizing everything just was released to Netflix or Amazon Prime directly. Back from our commercial break. We need a sponsor, by the way, Ben. Who do you think is going to sponsor the show? No idea. Well, back from commercial break, Amanda's still screaming. So commercial breaks back then, about a minute 30, 3 minutes depending. She's screaming for 3 minutes, then decides to run out. She closes the door at her house. Nanny appears again, not wondering why a young girl just ran up the house out of nowhere and slammed the door. Then the Midnight Society discusses what just happened. She says Amanda was home for the night with Nanny. Aunt Dottie was away, and Beth was staying at a friend's house. But Amanda tells Aunt Dottie everything that happened the next day, which makes Aunt Dottie force those girls to clean.
Yeah, punish both. Why not?
Yep. Well, Beth's still trying to stay hardcore about this situation. Amanda's apprehensive to go upstairs to the house, but Beth drags her up knowing where the bedroom is again. This time, the room is filled with "help me" written everywhere. They look into the closet mirror and shocked to see it's the same. The door closes. Amanda's scared, but Beth is hypnotized by the dolls and stuffed animals in the room since this girl's stuck in 5-6-year-old mindset, apparently. She walks into the mirror and is trying to get out, but in return, the ghost comes out. And what the hell again? This ghost is holding the locket this time. Didn't have the lock in its hand that I saw the first time I saw it, but this time the ghost is coming out, locket in hand.
Well, last time she didn't even make it through the mirror. Amanda just bolted after the Juicy Fruit and Snickers commercial.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe she didn't have time to get it out of her little nightie.
Well, after a brief moment, Amanda realizes she's not getting hurt. She looks at the locket and realizes that Nanny is the mother of the ghost. She signals to go get her mom, and she opens the door. Meanwhile, Beth is stuck in La La Land. Now, I wonder if Beth could see the ghost from out of there. Like, what's on the other side of that?
That's a good question. I don't even think she really even makes mention that. Does she even see the ghost, Beth? I'm not sure.
I don't think she does. She just promises later on to be nice to Amanda. So maybe she does believe the story when she tells her.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, DJ MacHale, the series creator of the show, if you're listening right now, I want to talk to you about making a revamp of the show, but we just do extended versions of each episode where we answer all the extended questions here. Well, she runs back to the house, and even though Nanny was living at this house for years, today's the day she decides enough's enough. She calls a taxi to move out. Did you find anything out with that, man?
Oh, I am so glad you brought that up. Luggage. Me and Ashley were talking about this the other night. If she's living with them for 2 months, she brought one suitcase with a shit ton of books in it. Amanda.
Yeah.
One suitcase, 2 months.
The whole summer. Yeah.
Whole summer. No, that doesn't make any damn sense. But Nanny has 2. So I guess she's in for the long haul with 2 suitcases.
I mean, some of these older people maybe run low on possessions there.
She used to have a house.
Yeah.
It's still standing.
Uh-huh.
But it all fits in 2 suitcases.
Yeah, well, it's very apparent at this point in time that Nanny used to live across the street. I'm wondering, though, and you can do this in some states, you can look online and see, like, past records of things and who owned properties. In the state of Maryland, which me and Ben live in, you can look at land records of who owned properties back into about the 1960s. If you want to go back further, you go to the courthouse. So I wonder if Nanny is still the owner of the house across the street, or did she sell it, or did it get foreclosed on?
VA must not have been doing anything for their dad.
Yeah, maybe not then. But I'm also thinking, if the parents knew this whole backstory all along, wouldn't they make an offer to buy that house out, like make a bigger property or something? I mean, or rent it out to people, make some extra income?
You'd think. They never said the dad died.
No, they don't.
They just said he was sick.
Yeah, well, maybe he died at the hospital. But the girl died, definitely, because she's a ghost.
Well, I mean, not to go all ID channel on you, but how did she get a house foreclosed on when a military guy died?
Okay, if it wasn't foreclosed, then who owns that property? Because there's going to be a seller. If there's not a seller, the bank owns the property.
We need answers.
Yeah, we do.
We need answers.
Yeah, maybe as a adjunct thing to this podcast, we'll start a blog where we just start writing new episodes. Again, DJ MacHale, please contact me. modulationstudios@gmail.com. So after dragging Nanny up to the bedroom, she sees her daughter, which is the ghost. Now, I'm assuming also that the ghost could not leave the room.
I mean,
there's some assumptions here that the ghost knew that she was across the street, because Amanda says Nanny is your mom. That meant Nanny, I thought, was always a grandmother nickname or a nickname for an older woman, right?
well, she's a nanny.
Okay, an actual nanny, so like babysitter type.
Right.
But she would have gotten that nickname either from babysitting people in the past or babysitting Beth, not from her own daughter. But the ghost knows that Nanny is her mom, so she knows that Nanny is her mother's nickname now.
I mean, if she can't leave the room, I'm sure she can look out the window across the street where her mom's been for 20-something years.
Maybe, no, Beth's bedroom on one side faces the front street there, because I see him pulling off the car. But maybe it was somebody else's bedroom who faced the ghost girl's bedroom. Well, Nanny's surprised because she says she didn't know she was there the entire time, and promises that nothing bad will ever happen to her again.
Hold on.
She's dead.
Wait. All right. So, when she said that she didn't know she was there, are we talking about ever? Or are we talking about, I didn't know you were there, you died, and then I found you?
They would have known she was dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think it was her ghost.
So, I mean, shouldn't there have been closure there when they found her dead body? I mean, I guess she was still in limbo, waiting to come back to the earth.
Yeah, well, when Nanny walks into the mirror, which I call La La Land, it's assumed that they're back in the time period that they were, based on the way they're dressed. And Amanda still has her purse in hand. So I guess now they just go take her possessions.
But she doesn't have any possessions. She's got 2 suitcases.
Yeah, the taxi cabs get pissed off by it. I didn't hear they usually beat the horn and shit because they're impatient.
Well, they kept the meter running.
Well, Beth's still stuck in there. Her friends then join, saying their mom said to be over there. Then Beth makes the promise to stop being bossy to Amanda and stop being bossy to her friends, and then she falls out of the closet. Then we're transported back to the Midnight Society, where a group member asked whatever happened to Amanda and Beth. They said they had a good summer, and Amanda lets Beth hang with the group. Now, I have some other questions here about what happened afterwards. My biggest question here is how they explain the disappearance of Nanny to the parents now. And but Nanny was hauling ass out there. She probably didn't tell the parents she was leaving.
Right. I mean, if she was leaving anyway, then, who cares?
Well, Frank, then the meeting's declared closed. Frank calls Eric a Zeeb and says to buy him a soda. Then we hear David and Kristen talking again. She opens a present. It's a locket. No idea what the picture is. Maybe it was a dick pic in there or something.
We could only hope.
Yeah. I'm being handed a special note right now. Okay, Ashley sent me Urban Dictionary Zeeb. Definition: a total and complete loser. One unable to do cool things like spend the night in a haunted house. Example: hey, Amanda Lear, that's the girl's name in the episode. I bet you won't spend the night in that haunted house. You are such Zeeb. So Zeeb is used as a noun and a adjective? Yeah.
It's the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, that's true. And the date on this is from J. Mathew Kelly on October 14th, 2008. Maybe I was feeling the Halloween spirit there. Well, Kristen gives David a kiss. And this is kind of the crush of the saga here. David's always crushing on this girl. She's attractive. She went later on and starred in that Clueless TV show. So, Ben, this episode, how scary?
This one wasn't. this one wasn't as scary. I mean, like I said, the only part that would make you uneasy is the writing on the wall, like that.
I don't know. That ghost girl is kind of creepy looking.
I don't know. I mean,
It's not. I would put this episode in the top third of the series. Not the top 10, but top third. Yes, it is. It is creepy. It's not like scary. Like the last episode, Left in the Dark, was scary.
oh yeah,
This episode, we don't see the ghost too much. And I'm trying to think of how they would tie it in. I just think it's written well. The actual story, there's some plot holes which we talked about, but I like the general concept of it.
yeah. I'd say I'm sure if the ghost was more, I mean, she might have got what 3-4 minutes screen time in what 22 minutes, 24 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. Every episode is about like 24, 28 minutes.
Right. So I mean, really, this episode is really just to make you hate that Beth girl.
Yeah. Well, I know what now would have worked better. I would have loved to see a flashback scene where we saw, like, back in time, the tormentors, like, chasing her in there. I think that would add a little more to that character.
Right. See, if there was more story on what happened other than that weak ghost story, then it would have put it in a scarier place than what it was.
Yeah, I'm noticing in some of these episodes, like the kids always like have heard about it through an urban legend, and then like somebody else is like an expert of it just out of nowhere.
It's usually Dr. Vink.
Oh yeah,
or whatever he's calling himself.
Well, I'm gonna invite Ashley back up here again. Ashley is Ben's fiance. She grew up on the show just like me, and they watched the episode together the other night. So, Ashley, do you remember this show when it originally aired? Okay.
I don't recall seeing this one.
What did you think of this episode?
I honestly disagree that it was less creepy than the one with the clown. Because personally, for me, it's the unseen factor that freaks me out. I feel like the whole thing with that room was like some kind of crossover between like where the little girl was stuck and the real world, which I feel like the backwards writing on the wall kind of alluded to the fact that she was there, but she wasn't, because it was written in a mirror image. So she was still in there. So to me, that makes it more creepy, because any room that you could be in, any house, any place, like, could be one of those overlaps. So I'm not scared of the creepy clown in the rainbow suit and the puffy hair, but like some little ghost girl in my mirror would freak me out a lot more.
What did you think of the different dimension theory?
I feel like that's kind of the direction they were going. I feel like they kind of alluded to it, but they maybe could have explained it a little better or concreted that so that we didn't have so many questions about it.
There's a few other episodes where they do explore different dimensions happening in real life, not necessarily a room, but it's like different creatures living with you. Ben, what are you doing?
I want to talk to you. We're talking about the other dimensions in the real world. Do you believe in it?
Yes.
Good.
Why?
Oh, because me and Ashley were actually talking about it a couple of weeks ago. The Nelson Mandela Effect and all that, or the Mandela Effect, but it's about Nelson Mandela and how some, like, he was the president of like South Africa, and people think he died in prison and all this other stuff. Like, people know he died in prison, but then he was also president.
So it's kind of like the Abbey Road thing, which is actually framed in my wall behind me, where they say Paul McCartney died, and that's a model.
Right. And then there's the Kazam Shazam debacle, where Ashley's sister swears up and down that Sinbad was a genie in a movie called Shazam.
These sound like
but it was Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. However, this sounds more like pop culture, urban legends than different dimensions.
It's a bunch of different things. Like, the thing is, it's emerging. Like, the theory is it's a merging of two dimensions into one, because people will swear one thing and you'll swear the other. And that's the dynamic right there.
So different perspectives.
Right, of the same event. I mean, there's more than just pop culture, but I mean, it's events and everything on how something went down.
So it would be like if during one of these episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, during the story, one of the characters starts telling a story of the Midnight Society.
Well, I mean, I guess that would be an exception.
It'd be like if we found out.
Yeah, it's kind of...
And it's the, you know, it's a lot of it's taken from like what, you know, I keep going back to pop culture because it's the easiest to reference, but like Silence of the Lambs, when Hannibal Lecter meets Clarice, what does he say to her?
Oh, look, Clarice. What?
He says good evening.
Okay.
Darth Vader, when he, you know, tells Luke, what does he say?
I'm your father.
Does he just say, I'm your father?
I think he has a few lines before that.
I mean,
it depends on what version you're seeing. You see the extended version or that shitty ass revamp that George Lucas did?
It doesn't matter either.
No, look at
people say, you know, Luke, I am your father. It was, no, I am your father. But as soon as you hear it and you perspect it one way, it makes like a ripple effect, and that's what you remember. So it affects more people in the dimension that you're in. Really weird stuff. I was just wondering if you believed in it or not.
Sometimes. Thanks again, everybody, for listening to another podcast of We're Not Afraid of the Dark. Be sure to subscribe to us and leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube, wherever you get your podcast at. This is produced by Modulation Studios at gmail.com.